Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you guys are having a great day because guess what? I am always having a great day. And today is another one of those days where I get to introduce you to somebody that's dope, that's in our community. And if you know anything about me, I'm Chisa Penix Brown. I'm the chief curator at Give It to the People. And we are a mental wealth company that is focused on getting your mind right and your money right. And so, what we do with our weekly podcast, it's a live stream. I'm going to turn all of this down. It's a live stream. And so we are online live with people being able to discuss their business and really to shine a light on women owned BIPOC businesses and then also organizations that support those businesses. Today, and I'm very interested in this subject, so y'all don't even understand. Like, I'm super excited about this. Taquanica is going to be on with us, and she is going to be talking about her company because she has a travel company. And you know what? The girl likes to travel. She likes to travel. I like to do a lot of in-state stuff, but she might be the kind of person to get me to jump out of the country. And I do have my passport. So let me bring her on today. How are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Okay, so tell everybody about your company.
Runaway with Tea is a company I started back in 2019, but it was primarily for selfish reasons at that time. But recently, back in November, I started and I do all types of travel in the country, out of the country, weekend getaways. If you want to do adventure, whatever it is, that's what I do.
Okay, and I love that. I like to call them minications when they're on a weekend. And you know, that I just feel like sometimes you do need to get away. You just need to get out of your own home, get out of your own environment, experience something new, and then it feels like you can come back with like this renewed sense of purpose. And then sometimes it gives you that FOMO where you feel like you want to keep on going, right? And so you said that you started it for selfish reasons. Where did you go that made it so good and selfish for you to decide, listen, I'm going to start this company?
Well, it wasn't where I went. It was just the fact that I always like to go.
Okay.
I always like to go. So I decided that, since I'm gonna be traveling all the time, I might as well make some money off of it at least because I heard that you can do that. I heard
Mhm.
that there were discount benefits and such. So I was like, let me try that. And
Okay.
then that's what I did. But I guess the place that I would say that would have sparked that was when I went on a European tour. So I would
Okay.
I would go with that. And I saw a whole lot of places, about 8 different countries in 2 weeks. And then I know I needed to go back because you can't see that much. But I
Yeah.
did get a taste of it. So I would say that tour was what brought me to this place.
Oh, wow. Now, what's the best place you've ever been to? Because, Europe is definitely a lot of people like to go to Europe, especially like a Paris or London or something. And I'm going to be honest, if I'm saying Europe, the only place that I feel like I really want to go would probably be to like Italy or to like Ibiza, Greece, something like that.
Mhm.
But every time you look at everything else on television, and I know everything's not exactly how it is on TV, stuff like London and Paris, it always looks so dark and dreary. You know what I mean? So I always want to be, and I like bright, colorful things,
Yeah.
places that I feel like give me that energy. So what's your best place you've been to?
I would say Greece. It is one of my most recent, but Greece is my favorite. And I went to a place called Corfu that's kind of off the beaten path. And then I also went to Athens. But I think it was the hotel and the hospitality that I received when I was there that made it nicer to me than any part of the actual sites that I saw. But
Mhm.
yeah, Greece, I would say Greece, definitely.
Yeah, Greece is on my definite list of things to go to. And I love Greek food. Like I just, ate some Greek food yesterday, but it's nothing like being in a country and kind of experiencing that. So if you're saying, listen, I'm going to tell you where to go, I'm going to plan this trip for you. To me, you're taking the headache out of a person having to think about things. So do you prefer when a person is like, listen, I want to go to this place and I want to do these things? Or would you rather say, I want to go somewhere and can you just put a trip together for me that you think that I will enjoy? Which one do you prefer?
Um, it doesn't matter to me. I can do either. I can work with either way because if you tell me where you want to go, then I just put it together for you. I can organize it down to the hour if you want me to. Uh,
Okay.
so I always can find something to add or something to suggest. So even if you say I want this, I can add a little something. But now I think I'm most excited probably about building it myself because you
Yeah.
just tell me what you like, what your personality is, and I feel like that's what excites me most about planning the trip is I feel like I'm there by the time I pick where you're going to eat at, or where you're going to dine, where you're going, what excursions or sites you're going to see. When I put that together, that excites me. And then I end up having to go, though. So that's a problem.
Oh, you have to do that. Oh my goodness, so
Oh,
sad.
yeah, I want to go.
Oh man, you gotta go on the trip too. Like, oh, you're just working too hard over there.
Right.
No, but I do love that because I think that people that have the sense of, I need control over everything, if they relinquish that control a little bit, they might find that they have a better time. You know what I mean? And then people that are just on the opposite end of that spectrum, I don't know what I want to do, let's just plan it when we get there. Sometimes they do need a little bit more structure, and then they still can have free time to do some things that they want to do. So, I think that with you planning it for people, to me, it takes a lot of the headache out of some things that you may not know. Now, what are some tips that you might give people if they're going to be traveling, and especially, after COVID, and, even something to the effect of women, right? Like, so when women are traveling, are there any tips that you like to give people?
Yes. So one major one that has nothing to do with everybody is I need everybody to check their passport. And if if you are 6 to 9, like at 9 months, actually, if your passport is expiring at 9 months, you need to go ahead and submit a request to get a renewal, because most countries require you to have 6 months left after you go on the trip, and it's taken 3 to 6 months now for them to return them. So if you
Wow.
want to go anywhere anytime soon, you just need to go ahead and get your passport and get in line because it's busy.
Okay.
But a secondary tip is when you're traveling, you need to understand, especially if you're going out of the country and a woman, you need to understand what the culture is there, because they have strict rules about how you dress, how you talk, how you act, whether you can drink or not. So a lot of those, and some people find a shock. I don't know if you saw on the news or social media recently, but that one lady that went to Dubai got locked up because she screamed at somebody.
Mhm.
So, you got to be careful about that kind of thing, because it happens, especially as a woman once you go into different types of countries. So that's one thing. And also be aware, just be very aware of the scams that are going on in the countries, because there are different kinds. Like, you go to really nice places, but those people, like Paris is really known for pickpocketing very
Mhm.
badly. They pickpocket very badly. I know somebody that went recently that it happened to them because they weren't paying close enough attention, and they're good. They're good
Yeah.
at it too. You just feel like somebody just walked past you, but they just stole your wallet and anything else they could get their hands on.
Yeah. Well, see, I think that for me being from New York, I don't even like people getting close to me.
Oh,
So you got something really trying. If you I'm
mm-mm,
ready to
no.
fight immediately. If I feel threatened, why are you so close? Like, it's one of those things where I think that for me, awareness has always been there. But when you're on vacation, a lot of times you let your guard down. And I think oftentimes they can tell that you're a tourist, you know what I'm saying? Because of what you have on, or you got
Mhm.
your camera out or your phone or something. And so you look like an easy target for people to come after and to pickpocket and, do all of those things. And that's one of the things that I think definitely that's a great tip for people to consider. Now, what do you think about TSA pre-check? Because I don't have that yet, but I don't fly as much. So, I mean, I guess that's probably why. If I flew a whole lot, I would probably get it. Do you think it's worth investing in that TSA pre-check?
Absolutely. If
Okay.
you're a person that travels, you need TSA pre-check. I recommend TSA pre-check. If you go out of the country quite a bit, recommend you get
Okay.
global as well, global, and and then also I have all of them. I have everything I can get because when you travel, the lines actually do work a bit better. Even if they're long, they're still shorter than the other lines most often.
Okay.
If they not, just get in the shorter line. But
Yeah.
it's worth the money because you just spend, I think now it's about 70 some dollars for TSA pre-check, but it's only 100 for global, and it lasts 5 years. So I think that's well worth me
Oh, yeah.
wasting my time.
Yeah. You definitely sold me on that because I know I have some things that I want to do. So listen, we'll be talking offline because I need to
Okay.
get out of this country. Um, I haven't done anything wrong, nothing to lock me up over anything like that. But get out of this country. And I think that that's something that everybody should experience because one of the places that I've been that I loved and I even said I want to retire to is Ghana. And my husband hasn't been. And so I'm like, I don't know if we're going to do like a New Year's thing since that's like the hot thing for people to do right now. Or,
Mhm.
whenever. But I feel like that's one place to definitely go back to. And, based on that price that you just said, is totally completely worth it. Even if you only go somewhere once a year,
Mhm.
to not have to worry about that stress of the extra long line parts. Plus it feels VIP, like you can look at the other people and be like, look at y'all in the regular line.
Yeah, exactly.
So that makes me happy too. Okay, so now that we have that kind of underway, what is your favorite thing about being a person that, and I don't know if you want to use the word travel agent or travel curator, or what you want to use for that, but what is your favorite thing about putting these trips together for people, and how can somebody say, how can I work with you?
Okay, so my favorite thing is it's just the excitement when they go and they're like, "Oh my God, it looks so good," or "I had so much fun." It's all of that just for that. But I also enjoy just putting it together because I like trips, I like traveling. The excitement is put it together and then the results for them. Like
Mhm.
if they really enjoyed it, they excited, they send me texts, the pictures, all that kind of stuff is really good. I'm like, oh yeah, I did good. Yeah, I did good. But and if people want to work with me, you can go to my site and you can either book your own personal trip. There's a link for that. Like if you just want to book a hotel real quick, you can go to my site to do that. If
Okay.
you want me to put together a full package for you, there's a travel inquiry form so that I can understand what you want, where you want to go, what your likes and dislikes are, so I can really put it together and customize it to your liking.
Mhm.
And you can also, I sometimes I post deals on my Instagram page. So if you like one of those, just DM me and say, I want to go here.
Mhm.
Those are the main ways that you can reach out to me.
Okay. Now, do you do anything like I've seen some travel agents? Like I have one friend who she travels every year multiple times, and I know the agent that she uses, they put the trip together and then you kind of just choose, say this is the trip I'm going to go on. Do you do any of those where you've already planned everything and then like a group can kind of jump into that plan?
No, I don't do those yet. I plan to do that next year because originally when I start doing that, I would like to go with the people, but also right now for some of those group tours, I'm actually testing them out myself. Like
Oh.
this year in a couple of weeks, I'm doing a small group one and we're going to Dubai. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I want to test it out, want to go to the places for group tours, especially for the ones that I can't go with them. So
Mhm.
I want to do a little bit of more exploration there, but next year I'm going to start doing that too.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of it. I think just sometimes it doesn't fit into the schedule. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Hmm.
so if a person is also, because schedule is definitely one thing, but finances are another. So if they're like, listen, I want to do this, but I don't have all the money up front. Is there a financing thing that they can go on to put a little down and keep on going? Or, do they have to pay everything all at one time? How does that work with you?
Well, with me, there, as long as you're booking past 45 days before the trip, then
Mhm.
you can do a deposit. Deposits range, from $200, about $200 up to about five. It depends on where you're going and how much it costs.
Okay.
You can also, on some cruises, you can get a $50 deposit because sometimes they're having a deal. So you can do a deposit and then you can pay as much as you want up until that 45-day period. So
Okay.
I suggest if that's a thing you're considering, then you should book out at least, give yourself nine months or so, especially if it's going to be an expensive trip. And then you can pay monthly payments, weekly payments, however you send them out, you can pay them. And then you can have it all together within that 45 days.
Okay. And I think that that's really good, especially if people are on a budget or if they just don't want to put all of the money together at one time. And then, also thinking about people who might want to plan like multiple trips simultaneously.
Right.
So if they can do like, oh, girl, I want to do this in the summer, I want to do this in the winter, and then they can deposit and then keep on going and keep on paying. I think that's a great thing to be able to do. And I think a lot of times when we're looking online, we might think we find the best deals, right? But what makes a great deal in travel?
I would say that a good deal is, well, a great deal is one where you can find a cheap flight. So
Okay.
when there's a cheap flight included, or that's the best time because that's what costs the most. And right now I can do nothing to control that. It's just the airlines, and you can't control the airlines. They're doing their own thing right now, and so if you can get a cheap flight, or I see there's a cheap flight and can put you a good package together with that, that's a great deal. Great deal.
Okay. All right. And that makes a big difference. Now, would you say that you would prefer a person to save money if they were trying to change the airport, because sometimes if you go to a different airport, it's a little bit cheaper. I
Mhm.
mean, but what I've been looking at, and this is why I'm like, I do not want to do this. I believe pay the person that knows what they're doing and that loves doing it. So let me look out of Greensboro. Let me look out of Raleigh. Let me look out of Charlotte. And then you have to consider, okay, well, is it really saving me money? Because if I'm going to be gone for like, let's say a week, you're going to have to pay for your car to stay there. Or depending on where you're at, you might need an Uber, or depending on what time the flight leaves, you might want to stay at somebody's house or get a hotel. So it's like, even if you save on that, you might have to spend on something else. So, when you're looking at that, do you advise people to try to go out of a specific airport? Because maybe that's one that you use regularly, or, to just try to see which one is going to be the best based on price.
I just see which one is the best based on price. That's what I advise. If you're stuck to one particular airport, then you can do that, and I'll do it for you. But
Okay.
if you want the best rate, then I'll look at all of them in your general area. Because when
Okay.
I fly out of Greensboro, Charlotte, or Raleigh, whichever one is best. Just considering whether I'm going to have to leave my car or I'm going to. If it's not saving enough money, then I'm not going to do it. I just go straight where it's easiest for me. But and that's what I suggest for people. So like if you have a parent, see my parents live in the Raleigh area, so I just drive my car, let them drop me off at the airport. I don't have to pay those fees. Gas not that high right now, so I can just go over there pretty easily. So if I'm saving about $100 on the flight, I'm definitely just gonna go that way instead of leaving out of Greensboro.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it would be worth it if it's $100 for
Yeah.
sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't do like anything less than $100. If you have to park and you have to go in a hotel, it's not worth it. So that's the way I look at it.
yeah, I like that idea. Now, you mentioned the cruises. Are you seeing an uptick in people going back on cruises, or are you seeing that they want to do these, these excursions and things that are out of the country? Like, as far as, do they just want to get on a boat, or would they prefer to fly? What's been some of the trends you've seen lately?
It depends on the type of traveler actually, but there is an uptick now. People are feeling safer. There are a lot more people asking for cruises, but usually those are the same people that already were cruising. Also,
Okay.
people that have never been out of the country before, sometimes they like to start with a cruise because it's safe. It's got the food that you like more standard. You don't got to worry about what you're gonna eat. You don't
Mhm.
have to worry about where you're gonna sleep and whether it's safe. You just get off the boat, enjoy the scenery, the view, come on back and get back to it. And so people like that, especially newer travelers like that too.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Do you have a favorite cruise line that you like?
I don't have a favorite cruise line. The one that I've traveled most is Carnival, but I prefer to fly and stay. When I
Okay.
test out some islands though, like if I want to do island hopping, I'll take a cruise purposely so I can say, oh, do I like this one? Oh, I'm gonna go back and stay here. Just
Okay.
so that's what I kind of use it for.
Okay, and I like that. So basically, let me get on the cruise to do a little test.
Uh-huh.
And because you're not staying for long. So when you do the cruise, it might be a day, it might be 2 days, and then you're off, right? But you're not physically staying on the island then. So you can kind of test it a little bit and then go back. Now, you mentioned something earlier too about kind of being off the beaten path, like when you went to Greece.
Mhm.
So when you plan your trips, are you trying to plan things that are more in the main touristy areas, or do you prefer to try to plan some of those, more regional, kind of things that people don't necessarily, do the more touristy thing with?
Well, it depends on what they want. I
Okay.
mean, if I'll suggest something off the beaten path, if I think it's cool, if I tried it myself already, and I'm like, well, you might consider doing this, even though it's not the normal touristy, it's a nice thing. For me, I like to do it all. I like to
Okay.
see what's on the path, off the path, let me just mix it up a little bit. So, that's what I like to do for myself. And I like to try to get clients to do that too, because sometimes you feel like some good hidden gems when you go off the beaten path, just a little bit too. You don't even have to go that far off from the tourist areas. Also, usually cheaper.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's also
I'm just
usually
like, sometimes, you walk down this random street and then you'll see something miraculous, or you'll buy a gift, or, something along those lines. And I think that to me is like a miraculous thing. Now, I want to transition into United States travel. And the one thing is, so we went to Arizona and I loved it. And I was like, I'll just leave North Carolina behind. I really loved Arizona. But I think that there are so many places that are in the States that people don't put as much effort or emphasis into traveling to because they want to probably go out of the States to like an exotic location. But is there somewhere in the United States that you would say, listen, if you want to go away for a weekend, a good week or something like that, I would probably recommend this state? What would that be?
I would still pick California because I like beaches. I like water and beaches and scenery. So that's my thing. But if you like a hiker, you can go to like Yellowstone. If you like mountains, it's stuff like that it's just it's all over. If you
Yeah.
if you like just let's chilling just for a weekend, you can just easily go to Tennessee and go to Gatlinburg. Or if you want to go to a winery, you go back to California once again. But there's a cute one down in Georgia. I do all of that. So I do those things on my weekend. I don't usually, post or talk about them too much because most people, when they come to me, they're not doing that because they kind of do that on their own. But I can, put together some nice stuff in the States too because I want to. I've been to half of them. I want to get to the other half. But
Okay.
usually, what happens with me is if it's going to be for a week, I end up going out of the country because it ends up costing about the same.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what usually happens. But
Yeah. And I've noticed that like a lot of times it's like, look at these flights. Like, I may as well go out of the country for this instead of staying here. You know?
exactly.
Yeah. And I think sometimes some of these things charge because I mean they feel like we're in the States and we can afford more, whereas our money is exactly the same
Right.
unless we go out the country and then our money actually is more somewhere else. So it's so much that goes into that. So now that you have this and you've been doing this for a while, where do you see your travel business going? Like, what do you want to do a little bit more in the future? I know we mentioned like those group trips, but is there anything else that you see kind of expanding this for you? Just going forward.
I definitely want to do more group trips, and I think I want to explore a little bit more luxury travel.
Oh,
So I do like I can do either of it. I can do, budget friendly all the way up to luxury, but I want to focus on some luxury travel, more cultural experiences along with the group travel as well.
oh yeah, I could see that. So that means don't come over here with a little penny.
I mean, you can, but I want to make sure that I get a focus on that, so that the people that want that as well, I can curate a little something around that too.
Yeah, and I think people are a little bit more, and I think it's social media, but I think that just kind of watching those things that I think is more, and I'm just going to say specifically Black people and definitely Black women seem to have gotten more into treating themselves,
Mhm.
making that a part of self care. Even if it's just once a year, it's a girls thing, or if it's couples, it's something for us to do that gives us that energy, that we may not have had before, and so it gives people something to look forward to. But I think that the visual aspect of it, people want to show off for the gram, right? Like they want to take those good pictures. And so I think for a business like yours, that's something that makes it where, that's exactly what you're doing, is trying to give them those types of experiences. So
Exactly.
now we've talked about all of the good stuff. All right. So we can't do all of the good without the bad. What has been one of your biggest challenges in business so far?
Well, my absolute biggest was the pandemic.
Of course.
So people weren't traveling then, but however, I took advantage of the travel period to go to different places for cheap, of course, within the states.
Uh-huh.
But that definitely was it. Once because I started my business like mid 2019,
Uh-huh.
and the pandemic actually started at the end of 2019, and the world shut down in the beginning of 2020. So
March.
there was no business. There was no business there. So that kind of shut it down right at the beginning for me. Also, I think what had been challenging for me is, I'm a techie, so I'm like a behind the scenes kind of person. I don't really talk. I don't do these things here. And so social media, it made me have to be more present. And that was one of the more challenging things that continues to be challenging for me. But I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I just got to put myself out there, the marketing and all that kind of stuff. So that is a large challenge too for me now,
I want
ongoing.
to tell you, I love that you said that. And I'm going to tell you why. because I'm the exact opposite of that. Like, love to be out there. I swear, I'm like, who wants to interview me next? I want to be on something. Like, I live for that, right? So for me, it's like I understand, and I always have a lot of clients that they're very apprehensive about getting out there. But have you noticed a difference that once you started doing it, then you started seeing the people come into your business? Did you see that kind of trend happen for you?
You see the change. And what was odd is the more I show my face, the more business I get. And that was what was odd. And I'm like, okay, so my face needs to be on here right now. I don't like that. I still haven't actually talked live or on the video on my on my pages yet, but I think that that attracts more attention.
Yeah.
So I just got to do more of that too.
I love it. You know what? I feel like you're just coming out of your shell. I feel like this interview is the start to some good things.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean, you're a perfect example of when I'm telling everybody, listen, you have a small business. You're the person. You're the reason. What's interesting about your business is, even if you didn't show your face, I mean, I could still see all of the great places that you've been, like I could still kind of from that point of view direction feel like I was at something, but you still need to do the marketing part so I can see you being there, right? And so, how many countries have you been to so far?
23.
Okay, listen, y'all. Did y'all hear that? 23 countries. Okay.
23.
All right, and how many states? Because you said about half.
I think 26 states.
So this lets me know what you're talking about, right? Like once you start to get into that, your personal life, and nobody's telling you give me all the details of your personal life, but what you do is a part of your whole entire business, and that translates into people wanting that same type of experience. So I'm really glad that you said that. Like, listen, I don't really like to do this, but I understand that this is what people want, and they want to see my face.
Right.
And you know why? Because it's a good chocolate face, honey. Listen,
Thank you.
chocolate faces win all the time. But no, I mean, because we want to see somebody that looks like us, right? And so that is a good representation, and that makes sense for the success of your business. Okay, so if a person says, well, listen, Taquanica, how can I reach you? I love it. I want to go to one of those almost 45, 60, 50 different places you've been to. How can I get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to my site, runawaywitht.com, or you can just DM me on Runaway with T Travel. Runaway with T Travel. yes, Runaway with T Travel on Instagram. That's where I'm primarily connected there.
Okay. Now, if you could give people like a motivational word, a phrase, or a thought or something about travel, what would that be?
Take the trip. That's it. Take
Take
the
the
trip.
trip.
Take the
And,
trip.
and do you think that people are scared to take the trip?
Absolutely. I know many people that are actually scared. They're like, oh my God, I can't go there because they said this on the news, or I read this and I've never been anywhere, or that I don't want to go by myself. Like, listen, the US is on the warnings everywhere all the time, and we live here. So believe me, when you see that stuff about these other countries, ours are sometimes much worse. So just go ahead, leave that fear alone, take the trip. Don't worry about the budget. Come talk to me. We get you on a little plan, and then all of that's settled. Don't worry about that.
I like that. I like the idea. Just take the trip. Just get out of here. Now, if I had a piece of advice, I would say go with people you trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if they get on your nerves here, what do you think they're going to do out of the
It'll
country?
be
Right?
worse. It's going to multiply.
Yeah. So that would be my advice for anybody, because I used to try to plan, oh, let's everybody go. And then 6 months later, it's just me and my husband. And it was like, you know what? After that, I don't worry about anybody else. I tell them if we going somewhere where it's at, what the date is, send them a link. And then I let people take care of themselves, because trying to wrangle people together, that has always been like, ugh, for me. So I'm just like, I know where I want to go, what I want to do. And so I'm definitely with you with the take the trip kind of thing, because I think more people probably need to explore. They need to get out into the world. And, I mean, it just makes people happier, like overall, because I don't think you realize when they talk about the serotonin and the cortisol and how that and the sun's not the same in other places, and the air and the water's not the same. Because I see people at these North Carolina beaches, and nothing against North Carolina, but that water, I'm looking at that like, that ain't it.
That ain't it. That is not it. I agree.
That ain't it. I'm like, okay. Ugh. So we want people to see some clear water where they can look down and they can see some things in it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to tell you thank you so much. For just being a part of this show. I'm glad that we could get you out of your shell, get you to come talk to the people. And everybody, if you're looking for somebody that can definitely help get you out of the country safely and help you travel the world, then this is your person right here. So thank you so much for being on. And for everybody else, if you're watching live, thank you for watching. And if you are watching on the replay, you can still leave comments. And always make sure you show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys.